Now, the emotional scale is the idea that we've got all sorts of emotions, right? We have down at one end the shitty ones, right? Hopelessness, despair, depression. Those suck, right? That's far down. If you can think of any others, that any other words that come to mind, throw them in the chat, because we can fill this thing out and we can plop we can plop all the emotions. I'm going to actually open up this chat so everybody can see, everybody can message everybody. So, and let me just get the participants list over here so I can keep an eye if anybody else is popping in. So we got one end of the scale, right? And then we kind of start feeling a little bit better, right? So on this end of the scale, we've got the really yucky ones, right? We start improving a little bit and we get to angry, right? Angry may not be good. It is toxic. It is not good for us. Being angry manifests more things in our life that make us angry. However, if you had a choice between complete hopelessness and anger, which one would you choose? Probably anger, right? Because that feels a little bit better than just no hope, despair. So you can see that these are all kind of negative, but there's a slight improvement. So now we're angry, and then we go to regret, we go to frustration, we go to being pissed off. But like, certainly being pissed off is better than being like fuming angry, right? That's definitely better. That's definitely improved. Being pissed off, being frustrated is certainly better than being at the bottom, which is like depression, right? So we are now shimmying our way up, right? We're actually going in the direction of neutral. So now we're pissed off. Now, now we're just kind of like, oh, we're just feeling heavy. And then we start to stop, then we're just kind of like, whatever, F it, right? And now we're kind of like getting into not caring. Now we're like veering into the neutral, right? We've got, feeling like okay, but not really. It's kind of a gray area. So neutral, a plus or minus a tiny bit, being unsure, not being sure. And then, we kind of get a little bit, and then we maybe get a teeny bit of hope. And then we start, feeling a tiny bit better. We have a good day. We having a good hour. We had a good run, so we're feeling a little bit better. Relief, I can probably start filling this in a little bit more, right? We've got, relief in here. Relief. Down here, we can put regret. Again, any other ones you want to see me plug in here, just type them in the chat. So now we're kind of like, okay, getting a little bit better, feeling better, something's going well. We actually start feeling like we're getting it a little bit. We get a glimpse. We're feeling good. We have up days, we have down days, but we're starting to have more up days. And then we start, we're doing well consistently. We're then kind of starting to feel like, hey, things are working out for me. Now there's like even more blatant manifestations. Random calls start coming through and you start feeling like, wow, this is cool. Wow, this is cool. Wow, okay, something's working out. And then we keep going, and then we're now building momentum, and we're like, hey, life is good. Life is good. I'm having fun. I am laughing. I am feeling sparks of joy. I feel like I'm thriving. I feel like there's a path, right? So generally, this is the scale. There's a lot of emotions. The reason why it is critical to start thinking about emotions as a spectrum is because when we are manifesting with law of attraction, we're like, when we're talking about this, we're talking about this core concept that like energy attracts like energy. So we have kind of agreed on this, we've kind of agreed that, hey, I'm accepting the fact that whatever's going on in my life is a reflection of myself, my energy. And then we say, well, what is my energy? And we can quite literally say your energy is how you feel. So we are literally manifesting with our emotions. I know all of our emotions are based on reality. I know we feel certain ways because of certain things. This is for sure. This is certain. Nobody's going to deny that. But if we've drank this law of attraction Kool-Aid and we're now like, hey, I want to start living my life. I believe this is how it goes. I want to start learning this. Then we come to terms with, I am creating based off how I feel. My life feels frustrated. And so even though I have data, I have started to realize that in my frustration, I'm manifesting things that continue to frustrate me. So when we want to start manifesting things, we do this less with, oh, I want this job, I'm going to manifest the job. You can do that, right? You want like whatever it is. But you then end up realizing, like I have, and you might have to just experience this yourself, that when you manifest, when you kind of force manifest things without paying attention to the emotions, you get the things, but it doesn't come with the emotion you were looking for. So how I like to teach law of attraction and manifestation is to always be looking at the emotions. Now, here's the reason why the scale is really important. So I am working on teaching it in a kind of more, you guys can see this, right? Did I share the right screen? Can you see the, Alexandra, can you nod if you can see the, dare I say, rock bottom? Okay, cool. So I'm going to simplify this and kind of put together like 5 boxes, right? We've kind of got the category, dare I say, rock bottom, right? I put rock bottom and I was like, man, I don't really like that, but I can't think of anything better right now. So I just added in, dare I say it, right? Hopelessness, depression, anger, frustrated zone, getting a little bit better. And then this weird abyss of like neutrality, plus or minus a little bit. And then we got like good and getting there, right? And then we got like rock and roll status. Good and getting there. We can even put, just positive, loving. Maybe loving could be in rock and roll status too. It's a scale. It's kind of gray area. And so the reason why we're doing this is because if you have been frustrated, or you have been hopeless or angry or depressed, you've likely been trying to get yourself to feel positive and loving. And isn't that really extra frustrating, right? Because you really can't skip too many emotions. Because if you try to be something very far from what you are, I'm not saying you can't get there. You certainly can. You can definitely do a lot of energy work. But in my average experience, looking across the board, if you're really frustrated or angry, it's really hard to get yourself into being really pure, positive, loving. And so sometimes it can be feeling like relentless and disheartening when you are doing your best to try to be believing and try to be positive and try to be thriving. And it just doesn't seem to stick. Like the pursuit of these really, really good vibes can be frustrating if we're starting way down here. And so the core concept that I want to just like do my best to hammer in tonight is that you get to let yourself off the hook, because it is very normal to feel frustrated about trying to skip over too many emotions. So the wonderful thing is that we get to just shimmy our way up. We get to micro shift. We get to just say, okay, if I'm angry, can I just try to get pissed off? Can I just try to do a little bit of movement? And then when I get there, it's not so hard to go from hopelessness to angry, because usually if there's you're feeling hopeless, usually like it's because something made you angry and you stayed there for a long time. And so it got worse, right? But it's not so far away that from hopelessness, you probably could shift back into anger. And then once we're steady in anger, we can usually more easily shift into frustration. That's supposed to be regret, right? And then once we're frustrated, it's kind of easier to shift into being neutral. Once we're neutral, it's easier to start shifting into being decent. And once we're decent, we can start shifting into feeling better, being hopeful. And now we can probably reach positivity. Now we can probably reach feeling some love somewhere. And once we've been to practice that for, I don't know, a day, couple days, couple weeks, then we're really just not so far away from believing, thriving, doing great. So you will find yourself, if you can just kind of let yourself off the hook a little bit from doing really big shifts, and realize that, hey, there is power and speed in doing micro shifts, we can get to rock and roll status a lot quicker than you may have realized. So the idea here is that there's a spectrum and we can respect it. I have a story for you. Last week, a couple weeks ago, I got angry. I got angry at somebody and I knew it was all me. I knew that, okay, maybe they did something, but anger is my responsibility. So I couldn't really sleep. And so I was like, come on, Aaliyah, you know how to do this. Let's go. Let's be loving. Let's send out the vibes. Let's get positive. Right. And so I was up, I like went down on the couch and I was like, okay, Aaliyah, like, come on, Aaliyah, you can do this. Right? Like, let's just like focus on some positive things. And it was really frustrating because here I am, good heart, meaning well, taking responsibility for my situation, trying to be positive, and I'm not getting there. And that was tiring. That pissed me off, right? So I'm just like staying in this little thing. So I think it took a couple of hours before I remembered this. Because just because I'm a teacher, I'm also human, right? So just because we know this stuff, and I know a lot of you guys know this stuff, maybe you're a beginner and that's great and you're here and you'll learn, but you'll also realize even when you've been doing this for 10 years, you're still human, right? So I then realized, oh, I'm angry and I'm trying to like jump to positive loving. That's tricky. Like it can be doable, but it takes a lot of focus. So I said, okay, I'm just going to try to like stop caring and like reach for neutral. I'm going to just reach for flatline. And I was able to do this in like a minute. So like a minute or two, I was able to just be like, okay, let me just decide that I don't care. Let me just decide that it's not worth it. Let me just decide right now, like I'm going to breathe and and honestly, the piece that got me there was maybe even me just giving myself permission to not have to be positive. So I gave myself permission. I was like, Aaliyah, you do not need to shift into being positive right now. You do not need to be loving right now. You are off the hook. We do not need to get there right now. You're off the hook because you're angry right now. And so let's just see if we can get to neutral. And once I'm there, let's just chill there and you're off the hook. And I think it was letting myself off the hook, letting go of the wanting to be positive, because can you also feel like, I want to be positive. I want to be loving. Can you feel that energetically what I'm doing is saying, I'm not positive. I'm not loving. So as I'm trying to get myself somewhere that just feels too far away, the little gremlin pops up and says, no, you're not positive. You're not loving right now. So once I gave myself permission that you don't need to be positive, you don't need to be loving right now, let's just try to like not give a fuck and like get to neutral, right? So I gave myself permission. I took a couple deep breaths. In my mind was like categorizing the emotions. I latched onto neutral and I was able to get there in a minute. And then once I got to neutral, I was like, hey, that was nice. Right. And I almost then by default felt some positivity because now I was proud of myself. Now I was like, good job. Now I was like, hey, this is really nice. So I would go ahead and take a screenshot of this. So you have this and you can put it on your phone or something, or take a photo with your phone, because the essence tonight is realizing that we have an emotional scale and you can see how we can shift through this. You can see how that this must seem more travelable than trying to go from down here to up here. So this is a really nice thing. This is I hope what you're the idea that you're getting right now is like, oh, this now seems doable. This actually seems approachable. I think I can tackle this. I think that wherever I am, I could just shimmy up a little bit. And how do we shimmy up? We shimmy up by letting ourselves off the hook. We shimmy up by saying, okay, I'm angry right now, but let me just use my mind to remember what frustration feels like. And can I just remember what frustration feels like and kind of go there, right? Can I remember a time that I didn't care, neutral? Can I remember a time? Can I just use my mind, right? If I said right now, hey, tell me about like something amazing that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, last year, right? You could probably get there by being like, oh, well, Aaliyah, let me tell you about this. There was this, like, I was on this trip. I was traveling. I was in the car. We were driving, eating amazing food. I was with somebody I really loved, and we got somewhere. I was like, whoa, the most amazing sunset, right? And in your telling me the story, you're feeling that, right? In that moment, it may be from something from the past, but in the moment you are feeling it. So that's this idea. The idea is that we can absolutely use our mind to remember and shift up, just shift up a little bit. There's different tools. We're not going to go over all of the tools today, but some of those tools are making lists of things. I'll do really quick the list of positive aspects, which is a list of completely random, really good memories in your life. Completely random, right? So you make a list, 3 to 5 things, and you can then set an alarm and then go there, right? So on your list of 5 things is this really cute photo of my baby niece or my kid, this one vacation, this party, this time at the beach, this amazing hike, my favorite bike ride, right? You can make a list of these very specific moments of time. So then when you catch yourself active in one of these kind of lower emotions, you can take out your list and look at it and really feel it, really go in there. Oh, that bike ride. Oh, that run. Oh, this time. Oh, that moment. Another thing is just realizing that we can kind of rewrite what we're saying a little bit, which is being like, maybe we're saying, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they did that. That's what's currently going in our mind when we're finding ourselves in angry. So we can start to learn, if I was frustrated, how would I say that? I might say something like, it was frustrating when they did that. Can you see vibrationally how I can't believe they did that? And the situation has been frustrating. They're both true, but you can see how energetically this situation has been frustrating is true, but it actually is still, it's true. So you can say it and believe it, and it is an improvement from whatever you're saying. So we're not going super in depth into the processes, but that's kind of a little, you can take that and like roll with it a little bit. There's not too much more to it, right? You can find the chronic thoughts in your mind and kind of rewrite them into okay, if I was just pissed off, what would I say? If I was neutral, if I was just unsure how, if I could reach for uncertainty. Some of these are going to be more relevant to wherever you specifically are. And so, maybe they're not all relevant. So you just kind of choose, how would you actually shimmy up? So the idea though is that for now, this is not an all-encompassing what law of attraction is and how to absolutely use it. This is the deep dive right now into this emotional scale. So you understand that there are all of these emotions. And when you let yourself off the hook and just try to see which is the best one that I can go to easily, which one is the next one up that I can, that is reasonable for me to go into, which is the next one up that seems doable. So then I can say, hey, I did it, rather than be really frustrated that you're not, in some sort of believing or thriving energy. So let's take any questions. We're going to do a little exercise in a minute, but let's open it up so you can actually go on the bottom of your screen. There's a little reactions button. I think it's a little smiley face, and then you can raise your hand. And we can, before we do the exercise, we can take time to answer any sort of questions you might have.